to our next episode of One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer. Want to remind you to like us on Facebook, follow us on X. Yes, we are on an X-rated site now. I don't know why I call Twitter X. I don't know. Twitter seems to be falling apart. I don't use it much, but man, I don't know. Anyway, you can contact us through onecard1cub1beer@gmail.com. You can subscribe to our page by clicking on the icon at the bottom right of the page, or at the end of the video. Just, even if you're watching on TV, that's what's cool. You just take your remote, click up to the little circle, hit the button, you're subscribed to us. And that's really good thing, because once you subscribe to us, you're in the cult. You can support us through Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer in the search bar at Patreon, and you can support our efforts starting at just $3 a month. And who can't afford $3 a month? That's not rhetorical. I want some answers. Who can't afford that? So,
I know you're out there.
JJ, how are you doing?
Hey, doing good, Vince. It's great, man. Here we are. It's already in the middle of August. We got about a month and a half in this pennant race that the Cardinals aren't in, but the Mets aren't in it. The Padres aren't in it. The White Sox aren't in it. They were all supposed to be super big this year. And so a lot of disappointment around the league, but there's a lot of excitement too. Your Cubbies, Vince, your Cubbies. Yeah.
Hey,
oh, I love that hat.
I have wanted this hat for a long time, and I don't think I've ever told anybody. God, like that old retro Cub hat.
I love
So
it.
my daughter Tabitha, my oldest, for my birthday, she said, "Here's your birthday present." I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's the hat that I have wanted for a long time." And I did have someone ask me a few months ago, "You seem to have a lot of kids." So I will tell you, I have 5 kids. Tabitha's the oldest, then Rebecca. Tabitha is in her early 30s. Rebecca will be 24 in November. Evelyn's getting ready to turn 23. Max, who has been on here many times, he is 21, and Violet is 19. So because you seem to have mentioned a lot of kids on here. So I do have 5. And the reason I have 5 kids is because I am so dang sexy.
He's a very virile man. That's right. Hey, all right, Vince. Woo. Well, man, and are they all Cub fans?
Rebecca certainly isn't. She's a Cardinal fan. But besides Max, the rest aren't like hardcore baseball fans. But you know, Rebecca is technically my stepdaughter from Kathy's first marriage. Kathy's a Cardinal fan, so she poisoned Rebecca. But I do have to say, in 2016, Rebecca was even pulling for the Cubs. I was very, very happy that she did that.
That's
so
nice.
Also, I do want to bring to your attention that I'm going full Italian. Grandfather was just wearing a white T-shirt. You know, like I just got home from a hard day's work, and I just take off my shirt and I just sit around in my T-shirt.
Hey, you know, that's what this is about, getting relaxed, talking baseball, sitting in here with your shoes off and kicking your feet up.
And we're going to talk some baseball here.
Yeah.
If I'm going to talk baseball, I'm going to dress for baseball. It's in a T-shirt, it's in a hat. What are you going to do?
I can't do Italian. I'm too much of a hillbilly out down here in the sticks. But Cardinal news. I love Ted Simmons. And a little shout out to Janet Begonia, who I went to school with, big Ted Simmons fan. Anytime she would be at a signing, she would send something on Facebook to me, and loves Ted Simmons. I got all my Ted Simmons bobbleheads here, some from the Grizzly games, some from his Hall of Fame induction, and my favorite baseball cards. And this 1975 Simmons is my absolute favorite right there, where he's got the long hair right there. So that's my favorite. But those are my favorite Ted Simmons cards. And Ted this week turned 74. He's a Hall of Famer, 285 batting average, 8-time All-Star, played 68 to from 1968 to 1980 with the Cardinals, and just loved Ted Simmons as a kid. That was my guy. I was a catcher. and Ted Simmons was our catcher, and probably at that time period known as the second best catcher in baseball at that time to Johnny Bench, which, he's all time right there, Johnny Bench.
Do you remember when Simmons was pinch hitting for the Braves at the end of his career?
I don't remember that.
He was playing for the Braves, mostly as a pinch hitter, and Dale Murphy had a consecutive game streak going. And I mean, it wasn't like 2000, it wasn't even approaching Billy Williams' National League record, but it was quite substantial. I think it was like 700-800 games, and he was mired in a bad slump. And Ted Simmons sat down with him and explained to him, your uh, rest, your mental health, your physical health is more important to this team than this streak. So don't feel ashamed about taking a day off. And Dale Murphy, who had a strong Mormon faith and a strong Mormon work ethic, he felt like to take a day off was not something he should do unless he was injured. He wasn't injured. And Simmons sat him down and convinced him to take a day off here and there for the good of the team, for the good of your career. And I thought that was a tremendous sign of Ted Simmons' leadership to sit down with the younger ball player and say, don't feel bad for doing this. It's a good thing that Ted Simmons was not Cal Ripken's teammate. He may have said, take a day off, but anyway, that's one thing that stood out for me at the end of his career that did that I thought was just so cool.
At the Hall of Fame inductions, or when a player, like with the Cardinals, the Red Jacket Club, and they talk about all the players that kind of helped them when they were younger, or took them under their wing, or taught them how to be a big leaguer. I love those stories because some of them are names that are, oh yeah, I remember that guy. They're not the superstar players. Sometimes it was a veteran, or just a friend, or a high school baseball coach, or maybe even a teacher or an uncle. And they mention these people, and I absolutely love that because just in life, so many people have helped us get to where we're at now. And if you're smart enough to listen to the good advice, it makes it a better world for you. So man, I love that story. That was great, Vince. I didn't know that. I remember him being a part of the Braves, but I didn't know that particular story. But I love it that players want to play every day. And I think that's one reason the Atlanta Braves have done so good. They've got 4 players that play practically every day. And, as a kid, I only got to go to 1 game a year. And when I went, I wanted to see Ted Simmons and Lou Brock, and you never knew they might get a day off, but both of those played quite a bit. But I really like the superstars. You want to go see that superstar, go to the Cub game, because we might see Bellinger play, the alien himself. I'm sorry, Vince. I was calling Bellinger an alien because he's having such a good year this year. But Vince will get on that here in a minute. The Cardinals this week, we went 4-2. Hey, a winning week. What is going on? We played the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and beat them 2 out of 3. And they're a team that's fighting for the playoff lives. So that was good to see.
The Rays with Wander Franco's issues. You can't help but pull for the Rays. But man, I'm thinking, I hope this doesn't sink this tremendous season they're having, because this is one of those things that can really devastate a team. To have these kind of, and if you want to know the accusations, look it up. I'm not
right.
Go
and
into it.
You that guy was going to be the leader of your team. I know the Mariners have Rodriguez, that they went ahead and made him give him a big contract. He's going to be there pretty much his career. And man, these young guys, I don't know. There's a lot of temptations out there. I don't know what's going on. I hope it's all false. And he's a great player, and whatever. Anyway, yeah, look it up. The Cardinals, though, since the All-Star break, have been 15-14. So we're playing better, even though we made these trades with guys that were established on our team. And I'll go over some of their stats here in a little bit. And most of them are doing pretty good on these better teams that they have joined. But 15-14, I'll take that. And Steven Matz came back to the rotation, pitched 7 games, won 3 of them, and was looking like $1,000,000. I think he even won 4 of them. And Matz got hurt, and he's on the what's the DL, the IR now, and he might be out the rest of the year. They're not gonna. There's no reason for him to rush back.
Yeah.
So anyway, I get healthy. We'll see you next year. And if this is any sign of next year, I'm excited about him being on our pitching staff. But some of the hot Cardinals, I have just this week, our bullpen has been in disarray. Helsley's hurt. We traded Hicks. Gallegos is up and down. And Jojo Romero has been it's so nice to have him in the bullpen. I remember we got him last year, and he pitched for a little while. He spent some time in the minors. I don't know what they did, but he kind of looks like Steve. Remember Steve Klein, where the balls come from way out.
Kleiner.
Yeah, he was always a mess. Had dirt in his hat. Jack Buck used to say, if you touched his hat, you could get hepatitis. That's how dirty that hat was. But Jojo Romero has just been fantastic and just shut down for us. And that's been good to see because, you play 8 innings. You're right there on this. I've learned this year. Vince used to, the Cardinals were ahead after 7 innings. I'd go, all right, we got to win. Da, 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 da. This year, not until that final out do I count on anything because we've lost so many in the last bat or the last play of the game. Tommy Edman, since he's now the full-time shortstop, since DeYoung is gone and that Mason Wynn is nursing an injury, he hasn't come up yet. But this week he went 22 at bats and 9 hits and 5 walks. He's hitting 409 this past 7 games and looked great. He's been stealing bases. He had a 2 home run game. That's fantastic. So Tommy Edman, I'm a big fan of his anyway. I'm glad to see him doing good. Wilson Contreras, and I've got my Contreras jersey back here, my Cardinal jersey with the Contreras on the back, showing my support. Man, he's been hitting the daylights out of the ball, and I think playing a better catcher. And it seems like him and the pitchers are jiving. And I like his aggressiveness behind the plate, trying to catch that guy, taking a big lead off first. Anyway, he's hitting the daylights out of the ball too, hitting 425 this week. Of course, he doesn't get as many at bats as some of the other guys because usually catchers have a day or two where they're not playing, but he had 16 at bats and 7 hits. And finally, the guy who I think is the captain of our team this year. Last year it was Goldie. This year it's Nolan Arenado. And he's hitting 284. This week he had 26 at bats and 8 hits and 3 RBIs. He's got 24 home runs on the year and 82 RBIs. And he's just been fantastic. And anything else I need to say on him? I got something I'm going to show you later about Arenado. But the players we traded, I've kind of looked at what they've done since they've been gone. And Flaherty is 1-1 over there with Baltimore. 11 innings pitched and 4 earned runs, 4 walks, 16 Ks. And he's pitched against Toronto and Atlanta. So he's doing great. His 2 starts, very good. Jordan Montgomery is 1-1 with 12 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 11 strikeouts. And he's pitched against Marlins and the Oakland A's. Jordan Hicks, this week, he's 0-1, but he's pitched 5.2 innings and has 3 saves. Actually had 1 bad outing, but other than that, he's been pretty good. And
the
Paul
Cubs did him pretty good this week.
Oh, did y'all? Maybe that was the bad outing. Maybe that was the bad one. I think he lost the game to Toronto too. He blew the save. And again, they're not. To me, they'll always be part of the Cardinal family, and I wish them nothing but the best. I'm not getting any kind of satisfaction of them not doing well. Although if they do real well, everybody will say, "Oh, Mozeliak, what were you thinking?" But these guys weren't coming back anyway. And finally, Paul DeYoung, who was having an uptick from the last couple of years, but he went out to Toronto and has not hit at all. 39 at bats and 3 hits. He's hitting 0.77. Now, maybe it's a new atmosphere and he's trying to get acclimated to the team, but no walks and 14 Ks. He's been horrible so far.
I watched about a week and a half ago, I watched a Toronto game because the Cubs were getting ready to play Toronto. and he did not look good in that game. And then in the 3 games that we played in Toronto, he played in the first game and didn't play the second 2 games. Yeah, he's kind of lost right now.
Yeah, and I hate to see that. I think the Cardinals were ready for the Mason Wynn experiment to start. So he had such a good enough year where we were able to trade him and get something. And the kid that we got for him is doing very good in Double A. He's hitting 316 right now and playing a very, he's not a superstar fielder, but he gets all the plays he's supposed to make. He makes. I got to see him down there. He didn't get a hit the day I was there, but he is hitting very well. Arenado, though, by the way, this guy is special. And all you young folks, if you get a chance, just watch this guy take infield, watch him play. He's been making eye-popping play after eye-popping play. He's got 10 gold gloves, and if he wins one this year, which I think he's got a great shot at it, there will only be 4 infielders with more gold gloves than Nolan Arenado in the history of baseball, and it became a stat. It became an award in 1957. So about half of the history of baseball, those guys didn't go gloves, but the second half has. The only infielders now, right now he's at 10, and he's with Roberto Alomar at 10. 11, Keith Hernandez. 12, Omar Vizquel. 13 is Pud Rodriguez and Ozzie Smith, and 16 is Brooks Robinson. And these are the infielders with the most gold gloves. So if Arenado wins another one this year, he'll be creeping up there with, he's already in the elite class. And anyway, that's just it on my baseball news. The games were 4-2. That we've been shaky at times. We've been hitting the ball. Lars had a 2 home run game. Edmund had a 2 home run game. Walker had a big triple last night with bases loaded. The guy probably should have caught the ball, but that's neither here nor there. But Vince, that's my Cardinal news.
All right. In Cubby news, we were 3-2 this week since our last broadcast, and we finished off last Tuesday, or we began the broadcast week, I should say, with our second game with the Mets, and we won 3-2. Bellinger and Talkman, who've been our 2 best players this summer, both homered. Tyone got the win. Owsley got the save. So that was actually our second game with the Mets. And then Wednesday, we lost to the Mets 4-3, which meant we lost the series to the Mets 2-1. But that's going to happen in baseball. Pete Alonso went completely crazy. I think he had 4 home runs in the 3 games. And because I don't know why, but they thought it would be good to just keep pitching him. Just keep pitching to him. The only guy in the lineup who can hurt you. The thing about it is the first 4 hitters in the Mets lineup are decent. Alonso is number 4 hitter. He's really good, but he's a 220 hitter. After that, there's nothing. Gosh, just don't pitch to him and try to get numbers 5 through 9 to beat you. But what can I say? We had Thursday off. Friday, we won the first game. We went to Toronto, won the first game 6-2. Javier Assad in a spot start, 7 innings, 1 run. We needed that boost on Saturday. We won the second game against the Jays 5-4. Swanson hit a 3-run home run, and we had that. That held up. And then Sunday we lost 11-4. I previously said that DeYoung only played the first game. He did play the third game because there was an injury, and they moved the shortstop to third base and put DeYoung in the game. So, sorry, I didn't mean to lie to you all. Oh. So we took 2 of 3 from a very good Blue Jays team that's going to make the playoffs. That could make some noise. So. But we did lose the game in the standings. We're now 3.5 games back of Milwaukee and a half game back in the wild card because the Brewers beat up on the White Sox. The Reds beat up on Pittsburgh. And it was a week where I thought, we could potentially lose some ground playing the Mets in New York and then Toronto. 3-2 against, I'll take that. But, the other teams were playing a weak schedule. Talking about the upcoming schedule. This is what the Cubs have upcoming. Now, remember, I've talked about the first half of the season ad nauseum. We had a very tough first half of this season as far as schedule wise. We are playing the first game tonight against the White Sox. We have 2 against the White Sox. We have Thursday off. Then we have 3 against the Royals. The Sox and the Royals are coming into Wrigley. So that's 5 games in Wrigley against the Sox and the Royals. We go to Detroit for 3 games, and then we have 4 in Pittsburgh. So we are looking at a 12-game stretch where we are playing teams with a combined record of 192 and 284 for a 403 winning percentage. We have to go 8, 9, 10 victories in this 12-game stretch. We have to, because we played the Braves and beat them 3 out of 4. We have played tough teams and played them very well. We beat the Yankees. We just took the series from the Blue Jays. We can't let up against these weak teams. Now we have to pile on wins. And it's very important because right now, what the Reds have coming up, and is they have 2 in Cleveland, their in-state rival, and then they have, or excuse me, 2 at home against Cleveland, and then 3 at home against the Blue Jays. And then they go on to the road and they play the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and then they have 4 games at Arizona out west. So in that stretch of game where the Cubs are playing teams with a combined 405, 403 winning percentage, the Reds are playing a schedule, that have teams with a combined record of 241 and 237 for a 504 winning percentage. So they're playing a schedule over that period with teams that have over 100 percentage point higher. So that's advantageous to the Cubs. The Brewers, they go to Los Angeles to play the Dodgers for 3 games.
Hey.
And on the way back home, they go to Texas for 3 games.
Woo.
And then they come home and they have to play Minnesota for 2 games. And then they play, San Diego comes to town for 3 games. And San Diego is the only team under 500, but San Diego, we know, is loaded with talent. Their schedule over that same stretch the Cubs are playing, their teams have a combined record of 260 and 215 for a 547 winning percentage. This has to be a time where we pile up some wins and make up some ground. So I hope after this 2-week stretch is over, that the Cubs are within 1 or ahead of the Brewers, and that the Reds have fallen off a little bit more, because we should be able to take care of business. The one thing that concerns me is that our pitching is starting to get fragile. Stroman was supposed to come back and start tomorrow. Now he's got some kind of tightness in his ribs, so they backed off of that. Drew Smiley is in the bullpen, and he's pitching crappy in the bullpen, just as bad as he was as a starter. Thank God Assad came up and pitched a great game, and hopefully Assad can keep that up in the rotation. We also have Tyon, who was really good until Sunday start in Toronto. He got hit pretty hard. Steele has been good all year long. But Steele's getting into territory he's never been in before. He's never pitched this many innings in a baseball season. So there's a little bit of what's going on, what's going to happen with the starting staff. Fortunately, with these bad teams, we may be able to outslug them if necessary, because we've proven we can do that. But I hope our pitching comes back together. The bullpen has been great, but our starting pitching needs to come back together. Hendricks is starting tonight. Hendricks has been decent, but he's had his flashes, but he hasn't been great. So inconsistency in the starting rotation is the one thing that really, really scares me. We have seen Wisniewski come out of the pen. We've seen him do a spot start where he threw for 2 innings, and he hasn't looked that great. He still, for some reason, cannot get a left-hander out. I don't know why. We've seen Killian get called up and just completely look lost. So he's not the answer. The wild card is I'm still high on Ben Brown. He's got one of those phantom injuries right now at AAA, but I would like to see him come up and maybe get a start or 2, see if he can eat some innings and be effective. But that is one thing that is making me nervous, is the starting pitching. which was the bedrock of the first half of the season, is starting to see a little bit of cracks in the foundation. And I see, the bullpen has been one of the best in baseball. That doesn't hold up if your starting pitching can't hang around for 6 innings.
They'll
Your
start
bullpen's
taxing
going to
them.
get tired, and it's going to be a disaster. In I think it was 2017, the Cubs went to the playoffs, I think, with like 95 victories, but you could tell our pitching, our staff was just completely gassed. We somehow eked out a playoff series win against the Nationals, and then by the time we played the Dodgers, we had nothing left. And I can see a scenario like that where we we nurse our pitching along and push it along, and then when we get to the playoffs, it just may not hold up. So those are my concerns, but you know, like I said, um, we're we're a good team, but we've benefited because no one else in the division has been great. Where we thought the Cardinals would be a 92 win team, we've benefited from being in a weak division. Do I think we have a team that can go far in the playoffs? No, I just don't think we're going to have the starting pitching to do that. But I do think that the Reds are certainly beatable. And I just don't think the Brewers have enough offense to make a run. So I think it's going to come to us and the Brewers with our pitching being weak and their offense being weak. And we'll see how things pan out from there.
This time of year, everybody's got aches and pains and they're tired, and you just have to pull it up. And sometimes it's that 29th guy down in the minors that comes up and becomes a star. And this is where legends get made. Somebody comes in, I always mention Cesar Cedeno came over to the Cardinals one year. They couldn't get him out. He was on fire. I'll remember that for the rest of my life. And it's gonna be fun. And the reason I like the Cubs as a team, I like watching them, is they hustle, they play clean. When the Cardinals are on base, the Cardinals and the Cubs are talking to each other. It's not like a bitter rivalry. I mean, we want to win and they want to win, but I just like the way y'all play. You play with enthusiasm. You got a nice mixture of veterans and young guys. You can see some of these guys the team's just going to get stronger and better. So I really enjoy the Cub team. I really do. I like these guys. It's a good bunch of fellas all on this team playing hard and pulling in the same direction together. And Ross, although he's not he's never going to be confused as the Mr. Statistician or anything, but I think the players love him and they want to give him everything they got. And I think he's a motivator kind of coach.
This is what drives me nuts about Ross. A couple weeks ago, he came out and said, yeah, now every game we have to play for every game. Everything's important. We can't throw any games away. Sunday against Toronto, he threw out a Sunday lineup he would throw out in May. I'm thinking, what in the world are you doing? He had Wisdom at first base. Wisdom should have had 2 errors, and they only called one of them an error. And I'm thinking, why are you putting him on first? Why are you putting him in the lineup? We're in a pennant run right now. This isn't May. There is no need to have a Sunday lineup out here. But anyway,
Whitey Herzog, we love Whitey here in St. Louis, and Whitey, he went after every game. Those Sunday lineups, you might have one guy not in there, maybe the catcher, but he worked those guys to death. He went for it. Where Tony La Russa seemed like he had, he rotated things, and there was always people with days off, but they were fresh down the stretch too. So I don't know what the right way is, but I know what you're talking about. You're in a pennant race and you have your B team out there, or they're in different positions and things like that.
Yeah, I
Well, Vince, can I announce something? I have a contest, if that's okay.
You can.
Oh, yay! All right, this is our 46th episode and our 6th contest, and this is going to be a short, sweet one. All right, I call this either or, and I'll get to that in a minute. But if you can name, and I want to do something with the Cardinals and the Cubs. So this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, whoever can name the runs scored by both the Cardinals and the Cubs on Saturday and Sunday games, we tally them up, and whoever comes closest, say it's 46 runs, and somebody says 45, and somebody says 47, it'll be 45. It's the one that's underneath. That's the tiebreaker right there. And if two people get it right, I'll have two prizes. All right. So that's the contest, and the Cubs are playing the Royals Saturday and Sunday, so that can make up your mind at how many runs you think they're going to score. And the Cardinals are playing the Mets. So the Cardinals have the Mets, the Cubs have the Royals. And
Don't
if you
pitch to Alonso.
All right, you heard it here. I hope Ollie's listening. But anyway, so 4 games, the 2 Saturday and the 2 Sunday, and total runs. And here's the prizes. It's either or. You can either take the Cardinal prize or you can take the Cub prize. Now, the Cub prize I think is pretty cool. Let me reach over there and get it. It's I'm gonna open this up. It's in mint condition. It's the 2013 Cub Media Guide. Look at that. Ain't that pretty cool? Rizzo's on there, and Baez, and Gaza. But this do what now?
Can I play?
Yeah, let's all play. Everybody. No. Yeah, but I think this is great because I was reading this and you can see the groundwork for what was to come in 2015, because I think you guys had that window of like 15 to 19. Was 20 a good year in there for you?
We made the playoffs. Yeah,
we made the playoffs. So there was 5 years they had that window. And of course, with the 2016 World Series, they won that one. But you can see this is the groundwork where things were about to change. And it's got all the Cubs statistics, all the whole roster, players that I kind of forgot about. Dave McKay was your third base coach. I didn't know.
Yes, he was.
I didn't know Dave McKay was the third base coach, but it's all in here. So if a Cub fan or a Cardinal fan and would rather have this prize, that's cool. That's cool. So that's the Cub prize. And the Cardinal prize, if I can get it over here. All right. It's a Colton Wong bobblehead. I have an extra Colton Wong bobblehead. So if that's what you would like, and it looks like this. It's a Colton Wong going in the hole and getting the ball right there. So it's got the Sunday Cardinal hat on. So if you would like that, that you get to pick which prize you get. So have your picks in by Friday at 10 o'clock. And just one guess per customer. And I'll have a board, and next week we'll announce the winner. So it's short and sweet. And
with you being a comedian, when you said, I'll show you what it looks like, I just thought you were going to start bobbing your head.
Out of respect to Joe the Animal, I will not do that. So
JJ,
anyway, yeah,
that's an excellent contest. Is Colton Wong still playing?
No, I heard that's why I thought of that. He got
DFA, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And now he may show up next year. Somebody may give him a chance. He's still a young guy, but that was kind of a big thing too. Him going to Milwaukee, because he won the Golden Glove the next year in Milwaukee, and he played a couple of years there, and then he's bounced around a little bit. But he's had a nice career. You know, he's been a very good player. But his big years, the years, you know, you kind of remember was the Cardinal ones, and maybe the first couple in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, let's bring our panel in and we haven't had a panel for a few months, so let's bring the panel in.
I love the panel.
Welcome to our panel committee. We are welcoming back 2 veterans who've been with us before. Ray, I don't think you've been on a panel. Have you been on a panel?
I was on with Brandon before. Me and Brandon were on there.
Okay, so you have been on a panel, so you know how this works.
Yeah.
Shannon, you've been with us before as a guest in a segment, and now you've taken a step down. You're in the panel. Okay, so
It's okay.
what we do here basically is we'll pool our ignorance on baseball and look like fools. So,
Awesome.
JJ, why don't you get us rolling with a insightful question?
All right. My first question is this. I'm going to start out with something light. All right. Somewhere in the 1970s, they started playing walk-up music. You know, it was like the time that wrestling had walk-up music, coming to the ring music. And I'm just going to ask you what's your favorite walk-up song for a player. If you can't remember anyone in particular, that's fine. But what I want to know is if you were in the major leagues, what would your walk-up song be? All right. I think it's a good question. And if anybody's ready to answer, you can go ahead. But if you're thinking about it, I have some walk-up trivia to go through if you're still thinking about it. Ray, do you have an answer for your favorite walk-up song and what yours
my
would be?
favorite is Kashmir by Led Zeppelin.
Oh, who was that for?
Do what?
Which player was that for?
You know what? I'm not for sure, but I know I've been to a game where it's played, and I want to say it was either a Dodger or a Brave. I don't remember which one.
Well, sometimes songs are shared with other players, and I think Scott Kazmir had Cash. Now I've screwed myself up, but I think that was his walk-up song was Kashmir. Very good. So what would your walk-up song be if you were playing, Ray?
Probably Crazy Train by Ozzy. That gets the fans going. Everybody knows that song.
The beginning of it's great. Chipper Jones used that song too. Very good. That's a very good one.
For like fictional baseball, I still love the Wild Thing with Ricky Vaughn off of Major League. That's not a walk-up song, but it was his entrance song when he came into pitch.
That's right. I love that. I love when they do stuff like that. Well, Miss Shannon, do you have a favorite of all time that you remember being at the ballpark and somebody came up or what would your favorite be?
Recently, I think it is the Cardinals closer, Ryan Helsley? I don't know how to say his last name. I forget because he usually messes up. But it's his save music, and I believe it's an AC/DC song. I think it's Hell's Bells or something like that. I can tell you I'm not too crazy about my favorite player right now currently on the Cardinals is Paul Goldschmidt because he's awesome and dreamy, but he's had an off year. I think the Cardinals as a whole have had an off year, obviously, but he's got like this Christian song, and like I'm totally fine if you want to believe in God and all that stuff, but can we not have it be your walk-up song, like praising Him or something? I'm just not. I mean, I'm not writing any letters or anything. It's just not my thing,
That's not your thing. Okay.
If I was a Major League Baseball player, it would be Back in Black, totally, 100%.
Oh man, yeah, you're coming out there causing some trouble. I like that.
That's right.
All right, now we got to go to Mr. Cub here. Ernie Banks and Vince Hopper.
Strangely enough, the only Cub song I'm going to have here is one that I hate. This is going back in antiquities, and with your display in the background of Ted Simmons. Ted Simmons it wasn't a walk-up song. It was just a few chords on the piano that Ernie Hayes used to play that sounded kind of like a snake charmer because his nickname was Simba. And I loved that when I was a kid. It just sounded so cool. But it wasn't a walk-up song. It was just every time he would come to the plate, Ernie Hayes would play this like snake charming music that was just so cool. But my favorite walk-up song, and I don't know, I'm not into modern country music, but when I think it was Lance Berkman was on the Cardinals, he had the walk-up song that was played in the remake of the Rooster Cogburn movie, True Grit.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool. It was a very macho song, I guess you could say. The walk-up song I absolutely hated was when Ben Zobrist was with the Cubs. His wife, who was a recording artist, did a song, Danny, and then they got a divorce. So that shows you what that'll get you, but I absolutely hated it. And if I had a walk-up song, it would be Willie Nelson's Time of the Preacher because I used to be a pastor. That's what I would do.
Very good. I'm gonna have to go listen to that song. I have never heard that song. I don't believe anyway. Yeah,
it's on the Red-Headed Stranger, one of the greatest albums ever.
Well, my favorite, you guys all remember this when McGuire was here, they played Welcome to the Jungle. And you had that dun, 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 and you hear Axel screaming. They never actually got to the singing part of the song, and the crowd would just erupt. And I don't know, Welcome to the Jungle, that first 20 seconds of that song fit perfect, and it just electrified the audience. Now, for me, if I came to the thing, the beginning, if you ever get a chance, listen to Montrose, Rock Candy, Sammy Hagar. That is
Yes.
great beginning to that song. And man, I'd be coming out, even if I struck out, I'd do it with style. So Montrose, Rock Candy would be my song.
I have been a Sammy Hagar fan since I was 10. So
I knew
yeah,
I liked
that's
Shannon.
great. That's great. I love Sammy.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Great walk-up song. That'd be awesome.
We're going to start a Sammy podcast, Shannon.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, is it my turn?
Your turn, sir.
Okay, I got to start with the general question because I have my answer, and I like to hear why other people who are baseball fans what they think about this. Why is baseball the superior team sport as compared to the other team sports? Go, JJ.
All right, here you go. The manager is in uniform. Right there, you got that. That's the only sport where the manager is in uniform. And two, you're only as strong as your weakest link. In basketball, you can keep giving the ball to Jordan or LeBron or Kobe, but in baseball, the shortstop's got a bat.
You can't give the ball to Kobe anymore.
Well,
oh,
right, Candy. But you have to make your lineup. Are we going to go with the stick? Or are we going to go with the glove? You know, in basketball, in hockey, and in football, you can just give the ball to Earl Campbell or Tony Dorsett. In hockey, you got Wayne Gretzky or Hull. You know, in baseball, that player has to come back around 8 more batters. And I think it's the strategy and the depth of the roster. And you can't pitch your best pitcher every night. It's a long season. You can't wear them out. So that's my answer why baseball is far superior.
Ray, you are smiling.
Yeah, I kind of agree with JJ on that, but it depends. I have buddies that are football fans that just absolutely despise baseball, and they think it's such a slow game and it's so boring and whatever, blah blah blah. But I kind of agree with JJ. It's like the team has to be a team instead of. I mean, you have your superstars on the team just like you do in hockey, football, basketball, whatever. But like JJ said, those guys got to come out consistently every day and play, and they play a lot more games than the football players play. Whether they play 17 in a season, even hockey is a lot less than baseball. So you got to have a consistent team that wants to gel together and play together, and that's what makes it fun for me to watch, because you're going to have guys that are just on fire and do good, and then the next week they strike out way too many times. So it's just the fun of watching that, I think. And well, me, I like to listen to it on the radio, so just listen. I picture it in my head while I'm listening, so I can just imagine, But that's the fun of it for me, is watching the team be a team.
Amen. I like that answer.
Shannon, why is baseball superior?
Well, I mean, you guys really gave some good examples as to why, but I think it's awesome because anything can happen. I mean, I guess that could be said for any sport, but like you guys were saying, we play a lot of games, and they're crazy athletes. They have to be on point all the time. And you can go to the ballpark or you can sit at home and listen to the radio. It can be as intellectual as you want it to be. You can get all into the stats and the figures and the whatnots. You can sit there and be like, okay, there's a runner on third with 2 outs. So I like it because it can be as smart as you want it to be, or you can just sit around with a beer and chill out and enjoy yourself. And I mean, I guess that can be said for other sports, but again, it's the longevity. These guys are training, they're these crazy athletes. And again, anything can happen. I just think it's awesome because you just never know till that very last strike.
I like baseball. I think it's superior because it's slow moving. it's more of an intellectual game. And as I said on here before, what I love about baseball is every pitch is a mental chess game between hitter and pitcher. And I get to watch that about every 15 seconds nowadays. And I can't help but guess along. What's he going to throw? What's he going to be looking for? So, like Shannon said, it can be as intellectual as you want it to be, or it can be the most brain dead sport. All you got to do is pay attention to, well, somebody's scored, so we're up 1-0, and you don't really think much about it. So most everybody understands baseball. There's still a large percentage of people who are not sports fan who really have no idea what's going on in a football game. Basketball is pretty much straightforward. Hockey's pretty much straightforward too. But those are all action sports as compared to baseball, which is the slow moving, leisurely sport. And I know that some people think that that's boring. But I don't think it's boring. I think it's something I can think along with. So that's why I think it's superior. And I love football. I don't watch much NBA anymore, but I still watch some college basketball, and I gave up on hockey 20 years ago, and I just never picked it back up again. So baseball has always stuck with me, because of that, like those moments in the game where you get to think along with the manager or the pitcher or the hitter and see how it unfolds.
And I'm with you too there, Vince, because you know, a lot of people think it's too slow moving, and now, you know, this year all the rules changed, or a lot of the rules changed to speed it up. But I'm with you. I don't mind because they're strategizing, they're contemplating their next move. It's a total mind thing, you know. So I enjoy the pace of the game because they're strategizing. It's exciting, I think.
It's the only sport where the defense has the ball too, and sometimes you're making a strategy move for down the road. You can't blow up your bullpen for one game, and you want to win every game, but you got to think about tomorrow and the next day and the next day and who's starting and the team you're playing. I just love all the little nuances of the game. You know, my wife gets tired of me because of the, oh, look who's on deck. Oh my gosh, now they're going to pitch him outside. He's going to take it the right field. You know, I just do that the whole game. She goes, all right.
Is that the only reason your wife gets tired of you?
Well, probably not, but let's go with that for tonight.
All right, great answers.
All right, my next question is, this is the question that has been people have talked about since the 1800s. There's no right answer, but we've got probably the greatest baseball minds collectively here tonight to answer this question. Which is better? Does good pitching stop good hitting, or does good hitting stop good pitching? So basically what I'm asking is, if you were building your team, would you be pitching heavy, or would you go with the sticks? And there's no right or wrong answer, because we've seen teams that had, I mean it, the 82 Cardinals, we did it with defense, speed, and we could hit. And as a Cardinal fan, we've never had a team. I mean, we had the 60s, you had Gibson and Carlton and some of those guys. But in my lifetime, it's all been the hitting and the defense. And the Cardinals have won a few World Series. So my question is, would you build your team with pitching? Do you think that is the best way to go and it stops the good hitting? Or will a good lineup just, kill good pitching? What do you think? Ray, you got an answer for that one?
Oh, yeah. Like you said, there's not really a correct answer for this, and it could go either way, but I would lean a little bit toward better pitching. If you got a good pitching staff and an okay batting, I think you're going to win more games if you have bad pitching. Unfortunately, our Cardinals this year, and good hitters. We have a lot of good hitters on this team, but our pitching cannot keep up. So that's almost like living proof right in front of our eyes right there, that the pitching is going to weigh out a little bit higher than the batting. Not by much though, but like I said, it's not, I'm not right on that, because like you said, we've had teams that our pitching has just been okay, but our sticks and our speed and our defense, it pulled us through. And I think you got to be lucky sometimes with that also, if you have just average pitching. Yeah, get some timely hits, some timely steals, that kind of stuff that just falls your way.
Yeah, it seems like in the postseason, if you've got two studs, two aces, you can really put a hurting on a team.
I would bet on that team all day long.
Yeah,
That's
just true.
If I was a betting person, but it seems like the better pitching is gonna go through more than the better hitting.
Okay, all right. Well, Miss Shannon, how do you feel about that? Would you go with the pitching or the hitting there?
That's really a hard question because, of course, I'm thinking about this year's Cardinals, and we've had nothing for pitching. And you think of our big sticks, Goldie and Arenado. They haven't really been that great, in my opinion. I mean, I feel like it trickles down, just like in a corporation. When your leader isn't doing so good, it kind of trickles down. But if I had to pick one, first of all, this is so not a fair question, and I know there's no right or wrong. But I'm gonna go with hitting just because pitchers, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but think about Bob Gibson back in the day. He would laugh at these guys that are pitching. Oh, you're at 97 pitches, we better get you out of there. They're and nothing against them, of course, because they're amazing athletes. But it just seems like they're so fragile. The pitchers can be so fragile. Like I believe last year we had a guy that didn't want to go 2 days in a row. Like,
yes,
suck up your millions and get out there. That really made me upset as a fan. But
me too.
I'm gonna go with hitting. I'm gonna go with hitting just because in this day and age, right now today, I feel pitching. Well, the whole game's fragile, but I'm gonna go with my big stick. So.
All right. Hey, I like that answer. Yeah, very good. Well, Vince, Mr. Cub, what do you think? Hit or pitching?
I'm gonna lean towards pitching. Because if you have a dominant pitching performance, you only have to scratch 1 run or 2 runs maybe to win. So you can have a pedestrian lineup to do that. But I hearken back to when the late teens up to 2020, when the Cubs had all these mega talented stars, but anytime we ran into a good pitcher or a good pitching staff, we had trouble. We had a game in 2015 or 16, I can't remember which season, where we played the Nationals and Scherzer was pitching, and it was apparent within the first 2 hitters he was on. And I remember there was a shot in the dugout, and Rizzo and Ross, who was a player at the time, not managing, they were just like kind of laughing, like, what can we do today? He struck out like 14 or 15 guys and just dominated us. So if you have that really dominant pitcher, it's very hard to have a hitter to reach that level to hit that pitcher. So I give the edge to pitching. Of course, fans want to see a lot of offense. So if I was building a team to win, I would lean on pitching. If I was building a team to build attendance to make money, I'd probably invest my money in a lineup that could lose 8-7. But we have 3 home runs today. The fireworks went off 3 times, and everybody went home a little happy. So
yeah, I'm with you. I lean a little. I agree with Shannon, a little heavy on the hitting. I think you can get by with good pitching, and the pitchers are so fragile these days, like you were saying, Shannon, that they can go. You have somebody go 2 or 3 months and they're just lights out pitching the All-Star game, and then all of a sudden they've lost it. And if I was spending money on free agents, I usually would lean on the hitting. Now you got to have some pitching, and of course the Cardinals would have to go out and get some pitching, because our pitching at best is like number 3s and 4s. And maybe Michaelis could be I think he's more of a 3. Can't exaggerate there. He's a 3. So we have to go get some pitching, but we've got the hitting, we've got the defense, and we got some speed. But it's like what you always want, what you don't have. And I think we need the pitching right now. But anyway, so that's my answer. Good answers, everybody. Very
JJ,
good.
if I could kind of follow up on that, the game has changed a lot with pitching too. Like I think Shannon has said Gibson and those guys would go 8, 9 innings and stuff like that. Nowadays the starters don't, so that's why I wing toward pitching, because if they give 4 or 5 innings, you got the next guy who's going to come in and give 2 or 3, and then you got your closer. So pitching, if you got good starters, good middle relief, and good closer, I don't think anybody's going to score on you, at least not much.
Sandy Alcantara's a unique one. He actually had another complete game, and he's got more complete games than sometimes the other teams combined.
You have those guys, of course,
special.
but
he's had
most of the guys
year.
are just going 5 or 6 innings.
Yeah, and in your bullpen, there's always going to be maybe one guy that he's all having an off night, and there goes the
and
whole
that could
game.
happen.
Yeah,
I see
that. Well, the Cardinals, we had a lot of that this year.
I was just gonna say our bullpen is pretty much useless this year.
Hit and miss, hit and miss.
I'm speaking to 3 Cardinal fans, and I've spent most of my life in St. Louis. I know what it's like to be outnumbered here. So, but I want your honest.
True.
I want your honest opinion. If the Cubs make it to the playoffs this year, how far do you want them to go?
What do I want?
All the way. All the way. Go Cubbies, go.
I'd hope they'd go all the way also, representing the National
I'm a
League Central.
baseball fan. Sorry, I'm a baseball fan above everything else. So go Cubbies.
I know I could have 3 other Cardinal fans. I said, I hope they get knocked out in the first round because most of them are friends of mine. That's the way they treat me. But I think this is an interesting question. I have years when the Cardinals make the playoffs where I'm like, okay, I'm good with them. I hope they go all the way. And then there's times when the Cardinal fan base, at least those who interact with me, have been so annoying. I hope you get knocked out in the first round, which is very hard. I don't let my wife know that because she's a Cardinal fan. But there have been times where I've been watching the Cardinals in the playoffs and I'm thinking, I kind of, if you get knocked out in the first round, especially if they won the World Series the year before, that's when the obnoxiousness really kicks in for the next year. Man, I hope you get knocked out in the first round. So
I don't mind.
And we are.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say we are so spoiled here. I mean, we are obnoxious, spoiled baseball fans, and I totally own up to that. You're absolutely correct. We're not used to this losing stuff. I mean, we're going back to the 90s when they were not good, we are totally spoiled. So I'm go Cubbies. I mean, if they have a far superior team to us, I believe right now. So
in 2015, after the Cubs knocked the Cardinals out of the playoffs, did you want the Cubs to keep winning, or were you pretty mad at the Cubs at that time?
I was disappointed.
Very angry, very, very upset.
Yeah, I guess sometimes the circumstances do dictate, because I know if the Cardinals knocked us out, I would be like, oh gosh, I hope you get shut out for 4 straight games and go home.
Well, there's a part of me though, the team that beats us, like last year, the Phillies, they were struggling. They got hot at the right time. And when they beat us, it made me feel good that they almost went all the way, because hey, they were so good. They beat all those other teams that were ranked a lot higher than us. So it made it feel like it wasn't a total loss of the season. That's how I kind of looked at it a little bit. The Cubs, I'll be honest, when you guys won that World Series, I did not want you to win it. My wife goes, oh, wouldn't it be nice if the Cubs win it? I said, no, let them keep going, but now that they've won and it's over with, all right. And if we're not in it, I really don't have a dog in the fight. I like Atlanta, but they've won recently, and I think that team is prime. But this is a great story for the Cub history. They're a team that, probably even diehard Cub fans thought third place team. And here they are. They're right in there. It's going to be a great stretch. And if they get in it, anything's possible. So this could be a great story this year, Vince.
Well, I'm like you. Whoever knocks us out of the playoffs, I want them to win the World Series. That's automatically who I'm going to vote for. Unless it's been, and I don't remember this ever happening, like a nasty situation where, the teams were not getting along or something, or, like in 87 when the Giants beat the Cardinals beat the Giants, I really wanted the Giants to lose because I wanted Jeffrey Leonard to lose. I never wanted him to win
That
another
guy.
baseball game. I could not
Oh.
stand him. But like in '03, as much as it hurt that the Marlins beat us, they went on to play the Yankees, and I watched them beat the Yankees, and I felt heartbroken because I thought the Cubs should have been in there, but I thought I'm happy for this team. They won a World Series. They have poor attendance. They're behind the 8 ball quite a bit. There's a lot of reasons why, and they went and they beat the Yankees, which was fantastic. And I thought it was great that they did it in Yankee Stadium because I loved watching those Marlins celebrate and the stadium be dead quiet. So yeah, whoever beats the Cubs in the playoffs, I always go ahead and win it all. That's who I'm voting for.
Well,
Yeah, I can say.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, JJ.
Well, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, probably when I was younger, I always wanted the Cubs to lose. But now that I'm older and I enjoy the whole aspect of the game more, if the Cubs win, I'm good with that. You know, it's good for them. They're a better team. They deserve it.
I had a friend in 2016, tremendous Cardinal fan, and he was texting me through that Game 7 of the World Series with the Cubs, and kind of kept my emotions in check because, you know, especially when Rajay Davis hit that home run, I thought, oh, here we've cubbed it up again. It was, you know, I had this diehard Cardinal fan who kind of helped me through that, and he used to tease me a lot and, you know, kind of be mean spirited about it. And when I told him one day, I said, you know, I buried my grandfather, age 95 at the time. And he said, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I said, yeah. I said, can you believe that he never saw the Cubs win a World Series? And my dad's never seen the Cubs win a World Series. It was like a generational thing for Cub fans. And so he kind of like, yeah, maybe it would be good for you to win. So, you know, you're not all visiting. The psychiatric bills in the Chicago area went way down after we won the 2016. All right, JJ, go ahead.
This is my last question, and this is just a total fun one. If we're all GMs, we all have a team, and you're a GM and you're starting your new team, what player in baseball right now would you want to start and build your team around? Who is the player that you would want and you would build that team around, that one player? If you could have the first pick and take anybody in the league, who would that be? Got any ideas?
Ohtani.
You would take Ohtani. That's a great
exactly.
pick.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
I don't know if anybody's even close.
I'm going to pick Ronald Acuna Jr. I like Ohtani, but I think Acuna's somebody who I'd like to build a team around.
Well,
go ahead.
One thing for Acuna Jr., his ERA is 0.00 now, better than Ohtani. So,
well, I can't lose there, can I, Vince?
I picked Ronald Acuna Jr. too. Ray, I like the way you're thinking, and here's why. I don't know how much longer Ohtani can keep this up of being a player and a pitcher. He's done it for a while. And he's great, and don't get me wrong. If I could look in the crystal ball, say he's got about 5 more years of this. Oh my gosh! But he just missed this start before arm soreness, and I'm like, ooh, you know, and that whole team just rests on him. Yeah, and I mean, I wish him all the best. But Acuna Jr., 25 years old, 6th season in the league, 709 hits already, and most guys are just getting to the league at the age 25, and 4-time All-Star and Rookie of the Year. I'm just saying, he's stealing a lot of bases. He may be the MVP in the National League this year, but I like the way he plays center field. And don't get me wrong, there's no wrong answer in this. Ohtani, of course. If that guy wins 13
there's wrong
games,
answers. There's wrong answers.
Is it wrong answer?
Is the wrong answer.
If you say Matt Carpenter, maybe that's a stretch. Maybe that's a stretch.
Hey, I know I'm going to sound like a homer here. but you're saying right now, I think I would, if take Otani out, I think I would throw a lot of money at Bellinger. He hit 2 balls off Barrios in the Toronto series. One, a fastball he had to go down on his left knee, and he stroked it into right field to drive in a run. The next at bat, he has a pitch at his eyes that he knocks off the wall for a double. Same pitcher, and he's hit. I know he's ultra hot right now, and it can't last. But to go from hitting a ball that is coming in below your knees to get the run home to hitting the ball that's basically eye level, I was amazed. Right now, you cannot pitch to this guy, and it's been that way for 6 weeks now. And I'm thinking, okay, this is the players that the Dodgers had. And I didn't watch him that much because the Dodgers play on the West Coast and it's late and everything. But I knew he was a stud player. But having seen him every day, the last month and a half, it's like the only thing I like in this streak too that I paid close attention to was when Brett was pushing 400, and I guess it was 1980. Other than that, he's hitting everything. He's hitting to the opposite field. He's hitting with power. He's stealing bases. He plays Gold Glove in center field, and he plays Gold Glove first base. It doesn't matter where we put him. He's one of the best fielders on the team. So right now, a guy who's in his, I guess he's 27, 28 years old right now. I may take a gander throwing more money at him than anyone else.
I got breaking news for you, Vince. That is not Bellinger. Remember when Paul McCartney, they said they put an imposter in there? This is one of those aliens, and I would like to have him checked because I don't think that's the actual Bellinger.
There's an episode of The X-Files that David Duchovny wrote, who's a huge baseball fan, played Ivy League baseball. And in the episode, all the greatest baseball players were aliens. It's for a nerdy baseball fan. You don't have to be an X-File fan. Just look up the baseball episode of The X-Files. It's really cool. All right. My last question, and being we've got Cardinal fans here, I want to ask you, what do you think the 3 greatest needs are for the Cardinals going into next season?
Well, that's pretty easy. Pitching, and more pitching.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
I would say starting. I really think we need 2 starting pitchers, veterans that can eat up some innings. I like some of the young guys. We're getting a look at some young guys. Liberators look really good. Matz's look good. Dakota Hudson has surprised me. Maybe he can go to the bullpen. But I'd say 2 veteran starting pitchers that could eat innings. I doubt if we get Snell or Nola, but maybe somebody out there, a veteran that maybe could give you 180 innings and maybe win 12, 13 games and, go 6 or 7 innings every start. That would be very nice. A bullpen guy, I think we need a veteran presence in the bullpen. Helsley at times looks unhittable, and then at times he looks terrible. Same with Hicks.
Like
yeah, Hicks sometimes. There are times where he looked like you couldn't hit the guy. He's gone now, but and then there was times he couldn't even throw the ball to first base. You know what I'm talking about there. And then Gallegos, same thing. Although this JoJo Romero has come out of nowhere, and he has looked so good the last 2-3 weeks. But I don't know if he's going to be the closer of the future. But I don't know what's on the farm.
Matt's went on the IL last night, I thought.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
but
he did.
He had 7 starts there after he came back to the rotation, and he was doing fantastic. So we got him next year. He'll be back next year, so maybe he can pick up from that. But I say 2 starters and maybe a guy, a setup man, or a closer in the bullpen. And that'd be my 3 wishes. I think our defense is good. I think we got team speed with Mason Wynn coming. That's even going to be faster. And Scott in center field is coming, and maybe in 2 years for him. So we're going to have probably more team speed than we've had in a long time. And our defense is very good. So anyway, that's what I think. 2 starters and a bullpen guy.
if
what do you?
oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
I was going to say, well, what do you guys Cardinal fans think of? I agree with pitching, of course. Obviously, that's looking us in the face. But I think we need somebody like Yachty back. I mean, obviously, we can't have Yachty, but I feel like we need that kind of like what JJ was saying, some like an anchor, somebody for stability in the clubhouse and like that veteran kind of like a lead because I feel like the feelings and the emotions and the just there's nobody to anchor and like to look up to at this point. I feel within the Cardinal clubhouse.
They got that Herrera kid coming, and I don't know. We're going to either have to trade him or move Kisner, or maybe move Contreras to another position. I mean, he plays catcher and he's done a good. He's got a pass ball problem, but we knew that, and framing. But he's hitting the daylights out of the ball. I mean, he's a very good major league hitter. But either Herrera or Kisner is going to have to go, and that Herrera kid looks really, really good. Maybe he could be the guy to step in and take over there.
I think one of what Shannon's talking about and alluding to could be seen in Tyler O'Neill, who all the reports coming out is he's dogging it. Where were they at in Toronto? He didn't want to play because of the turf. Someone should have stood up and said, listen, you little Franco Colombo, get your butt out there and hit the ball.
Right. Right. Go do your job.
And that's Wainwright's a leader, but he's a leader for the pitchers, and he's not the same leader that Yachty is, because let's face it, if Yachty told you to do something, you do it. He's commands that kind of respect, and he's very intimidating. I heard a story on the radio about a year ago where Wainwright said that Yachty told him one day, you and your family are coming to Puerto Rico and having Thanksgiving with my family. There wasn't no asking. And Wainwright was like, so we had no choice. We had to go. And that's the kind of respect that he had. And I don't see Tyler O'Neill saying in the club,
no way.
I'm not taking the field because the turf hurts my feet or my toes or whatever. Because Yachty played through just about everything.
And I thought it was Helsley you were talking about, because there was last year he wouldn't pitch back-to-back days. There was a couple times he said, no, I already pitched yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And that came out, and I was like, oh, no, man. Because Bruce Sutter, who we all love, that dude would pitch from the 7th inning on and do it 3 out of 4 days, He was something special, though.
See, now getting back to the pitching, Mozeliak has come out and said that we need pitching and we need hitters who can miss bats, which I haven't heard a Cardinal representative say that ever. I mean, it's all we pitch to contact. And I'm saying, yeah, we do need a guy who's going to miss bats. I think if San Diego was in a sell mode, which they should have been, I guess now, I think there's a good chance the Cardinals would have coughed up for Snell or Darvish or somebody that they feel like that they could extend and get them on the team. I do think the Cardinals will be serious players in Ian Snell. I don't think that the fan base is going to let them get away without getting a starting pitcher that can miss bats, because it's out of Mozeliak's mouth. And there's not a whole lot out there as far as pitching goes. So I really look for the Cardinals to make a strong pitch, no pun intended, for Ian Snell. And I think Mozeliak kind of backed himself into a corner by saying, this is what we need. We have to have it. Okay, then go out and get it. Don't get outbid for it. Go out and get it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, hey, there's someone behind you breaking into your house, Shannon.
No, that's my husband just coming home from his job. It is not an intruder. It is a bigger Cardinal fan than me, if I dare say that.
Hey.
Well, we all have our faults. Yeah, got one dig in there. Want to thank our guests. Thank you, Ray, for joining us
You're
again.
welcome.
Very, very much appreciative. Ray, who loves to listen to the games on the radio, more so than watch on TV, which is I think is very cool. Thank you again for Shannon for coming. I know Shannon has to get out of here because she has a visit with the masseuse. So
hey. All that stress from losing. She's got to release that stress.
That's absolutely true.
I cannot go to a masseuse because I have this thing. I cannot stand my spine to be touched. Just cannot stand it. And my daughter Rebecca, if she wants to be belligerent to me, she'll just walk up and touch me in the spine. Don't touch my spine.
I'm sure it has something to do with you being a Cub fan. I mean, spine and Cub. There's your dig, sir.
I walked right into that one, didn't I? So, anyway, thank you all for coming.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for having me.
Participating.
Thank
We
you.
will have you on again.
All righty,
Thanks,
sounds
guys.
good.
Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. Hey, great answers by everybody.
Ooh,
A lot
that
of
was
fun.
fun.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Shannon.
Yes,
We had a third that was going to be on here who had technical difficulties, but we will get him on.
He's been talking a lot of smack, and I think that was he sabotaged that so he didn't have to come in and face.
The Max is going back up to school on Thursday, and so in a couple weeks we'll be bringing back the trivia. So
I'll have him in here with me. If nothing else, I'll go pick him up and bring him right here into the baseball room.
There you go. Right. Well, who are you opening up today?
Well, I got these Allen Ginter cards.
Still.
Yeah, and we might get a Rob Ringel. We might get the kid down the street. I don't know who the heck is on these cards. But Vince, I invested in, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but first of all, I'm going to show you this card. This is a minor league card, and I'm going to see if you can tell who this player is, okay? I'm going to hold it up there. Let me get it as close to the thing as I can. Can you tell who that is? That I'm going to spill the beans. That's an 18-year-old Nolan Arenado.
Wow.
Yes, he was in the minor leagues. That's a Colorado minor league card for the Tulsa Drillers. So there he is as a member of the Tulsa Drillers right there. How about that? I mean, he looks like a little kid. He's got a peach fuzz on his face and everything. And I invested in some Jordan Walker. That kid has done about everything I thought he would do, and he's hitting about where I thought. I like his strikeouts to walks, his stolen bases. He's had a tough time defensively in the outfield, but he actually is a third baseman. But I think this winter he's going to work on that and be ready next year. But anyway, I got a couple cards of his right there. Jordan Walker. That's him at Springfield right there, by the way. And these are cards they put out the top 100 prospects, and he was prospect number 5. So that's kind of cool with some stats on the back right there. So anyway, and then the Topps card this year, that's what the Jordan Walker Topps card looks like this year. So I like that. All right. Well, I just wanted to show those off. Well, I'm going to open these up and batten down the hatches because I have no clue. I usually get ripped off on these cards. There's only
You can
6.
have Big Bird. You can have Speedy Gonzalez. You can have Grover Cleveland Alexander. You could have Grover Cleveland. No telling who you're going to get.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Here we go. The first one, Amos Otis, Kansas City Royal.
Very good.
You were a Royal fan. I love Amos Otis.
All-Star.
Yes, very nice. We have, let's see, Stanton from the Yankees. There he is. Okay. Yes. Yankees have that clean. You can have a mustache, but you have to be clean shaven. This guy killed it. She said, don't pitch to Alonso. Well, don't pitch to David Ortiz either, right there. Big Papi. He killed us in the World Series. My gosh. I don't know why they pitched him. 1966 MVP, National League, one of my all-time favorite players. Roberto Clemente right there. Very cool. Love that
Where
card.
I was born.
Oh, really? Hey,
Yeah.
that's the year, I believe. That's the year of Rubber Soul. Beatles Rubber Soul came out.
Hmm.
And okay, I do not know this player. It looks like Joe Kelly, but it's a Chicago White Sox. Ethan Roberts. Does that ring a bell? Ethan Roberts? Huh?
No, but it looks like Joe Kelly.
It does look like Joe Kelly. But he never played for the Cubbies, did he?
No.
And I don't know why. The miniature cards. There's some value in these. Vince, I thought I had a good set. I thought, oh yeah, man, I get a bunch of players. For some reason, the miniature card is bearing fruit. Look at that bearing fruit. What the heck's going on there? I don't even know what the heck that's about.
I'd get a lawyer and get my money back.
I'm telling you what, that's it for these cards. I'm going to buy them individually from now on.
I'm
So
opening up an archaic pack of Dondrus.
All right. I love it.
Oh, with the puzzle piece of Stan the Man.
Oh, Stan the Man.
I need to get all these puzzle pieces out and see if I got a complete puzzle yet.
Yeah.
I've been opening these up for, gosh, it's getting close to 10 months. So,
Yeah.
former Twin Mark Davidson. I have no idea.
I don't know Mark Davidson. No. Is that Joe Kelly?
Outfielder, DH for the Blue Jays, Rick Leach. He's also a very good football player. Where do you play football at?
It wasn't the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, Michigan. Yeah, he played Michigan,
Oh.
quarterback Michigan.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Mariners pitcher Jerry Reed. When he was hot, he was hot.
And when he's not, he's not. That's right. He's bound down.
Oh. Do we have any Jerry Reed fans out there?
Jerry.
Former Cub All-Star second baseman, also played for the Phillies and the A's, Manny Trio, and one of the best second base arms ever.
I love Manny Trio.
Former Cub who had his best years with the Padres and Giants, Craig Lefferts. The pitcher with the most unfortunate name in baseball, Bob Walk.
Bob Walk, yes. He was good.
He's pretty good.
His rookie year, I think he pitched in the playoffs or something, did very well. Was he a Philly at one time, maybe, too?
Yeah, I think he finished with the Phillies. I'm just trying to see. Yeah, he didn't have an exorbitant amount of walks. So
okay.
This guy also played for the Cubs. Was an all-star for the Brave one year. Jeff Blauser.
Oh yeah, I went to one game in Atlanta, and Greg Maddux was pitching, and he had a seventh inning home run to win the game against the Reds. It was like a 3-2 game. Blauser.
Frank Williams from the Reds. Don't remember a thing about him.
I don't either. There's been a lot of Frank Williams, I think.
Current color commentator for the Padres back in his playing days when he had hair, Mark Grant.
No, I don't remember that.
Former Cardinal and former Cub backup catcher Steve Lake.
Yeah, I remember Steve.
Pitcher for the Phillies, Jeff Calhoun.
I remember him.
This may be the first classic pack I've had without a Hall of Famer. I'm down to my last few cards, so
maybe there'll be one in there.
Yeah, this Hall of Famer catcher Bobby Wine. No idea who Bobby Wine is.
Bobby Wine. My sense, I got bearing fruit.
Bob James, decent pitcher for the Sox. Gino Petralli.
I've seen the name before. I couldn't tell you nothing about him. Was that Texas Rangers he was on?
Yes.
Texas. Okay. Well, I didn't know the team he played for, but that's
I've got one card left. I haven't looked at it yet.
All right. I'm saying a all-star.
I'm
saying all-star. Here we go.
You are right. He did make an all-star team.
Hey.
Greg Moon Minton.
Yes, I remember him.
Yeah. He had some great years with the Giants. What year was he an all-star? Looks like 83 he was an all-star. So
You're a
No Hall of
graduate.
Famers.
No Hall of Famers.
Not going to make a clock out of this pack. I'm not going to do anything with it.
I had
I mean-
David Ortiz. I had Ortiz, so that counts for something.
This is the best card I got. Stan's
Oh,
shoulder.
there you go.
Sleeve there. So
I got Stan's miniature. I like that little Stan miniature card from Alan Ginter. That's nice.
there you go. Well, JJ, I'm going to turn on the Cub game. Last I checked the score, they were down 3-2, but Happer had hit a home run. But hey, it's early in the game.
It's early.
Like I told JJ, tomorrow my wife and I are going to run through Potosi, do a little
Window shopping.
thrifting. There's a big
Yeah.
thrift store we try to make there once a year. So
Vinyl. They got a lot of vinyl records there, I believe.
yeah, I've bought vinyl there. We've bought a table and chairs there. We've bought a lot of stuff there. So so we're gonna visit a few other places too, just make kind of a big loop around that part of Missouri and pick up crap.
So send it, and if you have a guest for the contest, send it to Vince or me, or send me a message and I'll write that down and we'll have a board next week and see who got the closest.
Okay. So good luck in the contest and we will see you next week.